Would have been about 80.
So
Don't
He would've
date yourself.
graduated- He graduated high school in 82.
Vancouver?
Yeah.
I should have gone in this. You probably would have had more. He suddenly swing shirt too. I don't know where.
You didn't. There's no such a thing as a nice place.
I use all my flame stuff to change oil.
So you don't do it very often, right?
You
take it to Mr. Lube or what?
Every time Shane or anybody brings something.
I've been only got the ticket.
Well, I heard Shane's been wearing.
Does the tickets.
Shane's got a girlfriend, so it's amazing what you do.
Oh, poor little, that is nice.
Although he took it pretty on camera and even texted him, what is wrong with you?
Oh, no.
Lexi doesn't care.
4 minutes, Ross.
I'm just, yeah, I gotta try it up here.
You're doing good, but you haven't had call for Lori yet.
Huh?
You're doing good. You haven't called for Lori yet.
No. You should be getting a holler here pretty quick.
Yeah, there was somebody like, the last time I just stood over your shoulder, mention yourself, somebody else to mention it. And my luck, I'll forget about it.
It's hilarious. You love watching me.
Oh, I forget it.
Oh, I was gonna tell you, so Fred,
I had that
you sent that email, but there was no
and
attachment.
I went back and I was like,
No,
I have to make my. Yeah.
okay.
2 or 3 times.
Because you got that PowerPoint. is
Still
the one
working.
that-
So when I'm reading and I'm into it and researching and I say, yeah, that's
Well,
and then all it
I'm
takes.
so,
like,
I know.
oh,
Yeah, it is.
that first one, yeah.
Oh, Kyle, good, thank you for that update. And then check it out there.
Oh, that's.
That's great. I appreciate that.
Yeah,
You got around to looking at it, so it's going through the mail.
Yeah.
You saved me a lot of work.
Read it, you know, but they said we didn't have to have any air quality or dust issues. It's right there.
How was your,
Holy smoke, look at that. Mr. Mayor, I don't want to
it was
step.
really good.
I sent it to
They're
Orange,
really
so they
good.
have it.
I
The download now.
They appreciate what we're trying to do. They really do.
Come on, man.
Well, I tried to share some stuff. I said, as what they, and that's all you can do is very loud. Yeah, I mean, this is
Sure.
we had it full. We had some day. And almost all of this, I didn't realize that Jim's thing, I can talk about this, about the, you got to.
I don't usually wear white because then I disappear.
The
The lack of color.
I've got a red one over there.
I don't want a red one. I want blue and orange.
Youngstown, what was this last?
Hey, I was gonna wear Montreal Canadiens, but I thought I'd get before I get in
No, that would
the
have been a better choice.
Hockey over.
especially after losing to Lafleur last week.
Everybody wants.
Yeah.
Appeared to be in the minority.
I'm from that part of the world.
Was that?
So that would just prove she doesn't really know anything.
Well, the problem is, I'll tell you right now, if you see me there, I can't see you when I'm looking there.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh, I know.
Look here first.
Okay, if you're not wearing a flame shirt, I can't.
First of all, his hearing works. He hears you.
Yeah.
Damn it.
The words come out first.
So well, or bingo, you know what it's all about.
Yeah.
And then we need to tell you that.
All right, 6 o'clock, are we ready to rock?
Sure.
Okay,
Live, Lori?
You've been live for a little bit.
Okay.
call the meeting to order at 6. Councilor Campy, would you like to adopt the agenda?
We need to adopt it as amended.
Is amended, yes, we have some amendments.
So there is a second in-camera
Camera.
session for
Yeah.
land matter. And,
Counselor Olson. Or is that?
and again, 906, we would add 12th Avenue stop sign.
Is there two?
There should be two in camera.
Two additional?
I'll give you the
One in
motion
camera.
to adopt the agenda as amended.
Yeah, that's the additional one.
Okay, and then the stop sign.
Yeah, that won't be in camera.
Okay.
That'll be 9.06.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Okay, so motion from Counselor Campion to adopt the amended agenda. All in favor? Carried. The delegation, Hanna Library Board. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
She is ready. She's pumped.
So there was some confusion last night over whether or not I should have a formal introduction or not. So that being said, I didn't
Would you
write
like a
anything.
formal
No. My coworker, my former coworker, insisted on doing a write-up when she thought I had to have an intro. So I've got a little prop here and I seem to sort of
If you
fit
begin
in
with props,
with
yeah.
I knew
the
this
dress
was
up
coming
here.
actually.
And I told her to wing it, so this works.
And this is the intro from my friend Pam. Darlene wears many hats. Don't be surprised if you see her wearing burlap as she entertains the children by reading them a story. I think that was the paper bag princess. At any time, she is likely to be found greeting patrons in a tall hat and fancy coat with tails. She has raised a family of independent children with interests of their own. Darlene can often be found advocating for her library.
That's perfect.
Perfect.
That is definitely
That's awesome.
Darlene.
My name is Darlene Edwards, and I am the new director of Hanna Library. I would like to advocate for our two new programs, one of which was launched the day I arrived, April 19th, and that is 1,000 books before kindergarten. We've already raised all the funds we need to run and fund this program for this year. Children who are not yet in school can register and they color in their train and it travels along our train track at the library. And for every 100 books, they will get a prize. And they get book prizes. Is it a book prize at 500? I believe it's small prizes at every 100 and a book prize at 500 books read. So we've got 7 registrants since then, and we've had many packages taken home. So next week, May 17th, is our Perennial Exchange. So you can join us from 10 to 5:30 and leave a plant and take a plant. We welcome bulbs, planting pots, and garden tools. I guess I should have read this ahead of time. We're exchanging garden tools as well. So if you have nothing to trade, that's okay. We will have extra plants and donations are always welcome. There will be a planting demo at 12 noon with Sandy Checkle, and bring your own brown bag lunch to the library and enjoy Sandy's presentation on building a flower basket and information about fertilizers. There are also door prizes, and there are some local vendors, including Checkle Greenhouses and Warwick's Home Hardware.
And what was the date on that?
Next Tuesday, May 17th. So I can leave those with you.
And that other thing, that 100 book thing.
Yes,
Or
1,000
Or
books before
1,000 books,
kindergarten.
you said. So the kids got to read 100 books before they
1,000
move?
books.
1,000 books.
So this is even a toddler can be registered for this program. It's not about them reading the book. It's about reading together with a parent or even a sibling or grandparent, with anybody.
Oh.
It's about encouraging the love of reading before they reach kindergarten.
Because I was gonna say, I'm 70 years old and I haven't read 10 books.
Well, board books are pretty short, so
Okay,
there are a
thank
lot of children's books that are pretty short, so
Ross would like to sign up here for it.
awesome.
you. Yeah,
It's never too late.
good.
I'm sure you have grandchildren that you need to read to, right?
Oh, yes.
Cool.
Cool.
Any other questions for Darlene?
Just welcome, thank you.
Yeah,
Love
well, I
your
was-
enthusiasm and, yeah, I look forward to seeing you out in the community and more activities elsewhere as well. And
Thank you very much.
You got a gold star from my wife, a play school teacher already, so
Oh, nice. Shauna?
Maria.
Maria. Did I meet her?
Yes.
Okay.
When you
King's
read to the
Corner.
kids.
Is
Oh,
that
she,
the one?
okay. I remember meeting Shauna. I don't remember but I have met a lot of new people
Yeah, trust me.
recently, so,
Yeah.
yeah.
No.
I'm going back to see them at the end of the month.
Good.
So,
You sold us the day we met you. We knew you'd be wonderful, and I think the whole town is gonna just love having you. Has your husband found it good, or is he still in?
so we have a house in Calgary, working on fixing that up and selling. And he has work in Calgary. And I mean, compared to the drive I've been doing for the last 4 years between Drayton Valley and Hanna, we're already like feeling the sigh and this is gonna be so much better. So
That's wonderful.
we'll get things worked out over the next few months once I get through my probation period and things will work out.
Awesome.
It's wonderful.
Yeah, no, welcome to Hannah for sure.
Thank you.
Motion from council that we welcome Darlene Edwards to the role of Director of the Hanna Municipal Library and thank her for the updates on the programs and events that the library will be providing. So you will get to come visit us again, so. Just,
Awesome.
I'm warning you, I'm preparing you.
No, I would have stayed this evening, but
Yeah.
I have a conference in Calgary tomorrow, so I have a long drive.
Councilor Bowden,
I'm
you'd like to make that motion?
sure, yes, please.
Perfect.
Yeah.
All in favor? Carried. Thank you very much,
much.
Darlene. We do understand that traveling is important. So that's one thing about Hannah. We are in the middle of everything, right, Kim?
And safe travels.
He's kept it good.
Were you taking that?
Did you want the hat?
He likes the hat, see? I think she has a tickle truck full of them.
I do.
See? Yeah.
Wait till St. Patty's Day.
I'm looking forward to it.
Council also will have some competition.
I'll try to step my game up.
No public presentations.
Unless our guest that slipped in the back has something he wants to say.
Hi, Mr. Moore. You did well. Hearing none. Motion to accept the minutes of the meetings. Has everyone had a chance to peruse and go over? Any errors, omissions? So motion to accept the regular council meeting from April 12th, 2022. Councilor Murphy, all in favor? Carried. Motion to accept the meeting minutes from the information session, April 27th, 2022. Councilor Campion, all in favor? Carried. Accounts payables.
Got a couple of questions on it. You must admit. The 1001041. It has to do with. I think it's paid to Vic, no,
1001041 is to Henry Kruger.
yeah, what is the thing, airport thing on there? Is that just a typo or?
No, so we monthly pay a bill to Henry Kruger for water at the airport.
Oh,
So that bill is, so $40 is our monthly bill. So the remaining amount of the 53,000 is what we pay them for water for the month of, that was the month of, I'm looking at month of March. So that's just combined because it's one payment. So
Yeah, well, I looked at it and I thought, 40-some thousand, that's pretty high.
Got a water break.
For one, oh, yeah, well, I thought there should be a couple lakes between here. Another one,
Check Facebook.
just a question on it, 001050 and 064. It's on the seat covers. Are those seat covers what I would call a seat cover thing that,
No, there's, some of them are the actual foam and actual cover for the seat as well. And then we bought seat covers because we're having trouble actually finding seats for the older trucks now. Chrysler can only get us one and GM could only get us one. So that's why we had to resource out a little bit. So Logan just said that by getting those and fixing them, because they were all crushed down and broke, we bought the actual proper original seat covers, and then put seat covers on top of them just to try to prolong the life of them.
okay,
Is the reason.
yeah, when I looked at it, I thought, boy, those are seat covers, I know, they're pretty expensive, but
Well, it was $200 for the bottom cushion and 200 and something for the top cushion for each seat. And when you get them through the dealerships, right?
yeah. Okay, thank you.
Any others? Hearing none. Motion to. Motion to accept the accounts payable listing for general accounts 42159 to 42195 and direct deposit 001011 to 001079 for information.
Mr. Mayor, I'll make that motion.
Councilor Warwick, all in favor? Carried. Revenue and expense. Everyone had a chance to cruise through that.
Yeah, ready in line.
Yeah. We are done with the building demolition finally,
Yes,
and it did come in slightly under budget after our top. ups.
after our amendment, yeah.
So,
I think the total including the tipping fees was 557,000, I think.
so basically 7,000 over the original quote.
Yeah. And that included the sign demolition or the sign removal, so.
Okay.
And we've got them both leveled and all of them are leveled and got some grass seed on them and
Some are actually grown.
Got some grass going, do you?
Some turning green, yeah.
Is that something that we should try and water a little bit?
We can.
No, I'm just
No, you're
asking.
probably not wrong. We didn't put a ton of grass seed on. We just wanted to see how it would take in it.
No, and I'm just with it, if we don't get some moisture, then
We probably should. We could do that.
Yeah.
Is that on the Seymour?
Seymour and Adrian's lot there.
Fire department practices, they go there once in a while.
We sure could pump and roll through there,
Yeah.
as long as they don't blow.
I was gonna say, that you want to walk it in there.
Yeah.
Kind of defeats the
We
scene.
could, you bet.
Well, I
We'll keep
think
an eye on
shoot
it.
Up in the air 1/4 mile.
You can do that.
Okay, so motion to accept the statement of revenue expense report for April 22 for information. Councilor Olson, all in favor? Carried. Budget overview, Mr. Neal.
no, that's the,
Oh, sorry, yep.
that's your normal
Yeah.
monthly budget overview.
Everyone had a chance to boo at that.
I must admit, Mr. Mayor, it's actually starting to make sense to me, and I do. I appreciate that, Mr. Neal, because you've actually made it makes sense now, so thank you.
Well,
First
yeah,
couple of them was like,
the
oh.
budget overview is takes the previous statement of revenue expenditures and tightens it up, so.
It's perfect.
No, that's good. And if you ever have any questions on it that you don't want to ask here, feel free to come in and see me anytime.
I have no shame. I'll ask it here. It's okay.
Council accepts the budget overview from April 2022 for information. Councilor Kroll. All in favor? Holy cow, we'll be done here in no time. This
You
right?
know,
What do you mean, no?
it won't happen.
It won't happen.
You see how many pages it was?
I did, sir, don't you worry. Mr. Hill, would you like to,
Sure. As you see, I didn't add anything to my report. I didn't, was putting it together and I don't, there was nothing that stood out for me that I haven't talked to council about. But just a couple things, so we had our assessor was in yesterday in the office for the assessment open house. Good news was we had nobody here to come and see him. So I think that's a good sign that people are relatively satisfied with their assessment. We've normally, this is the first in-person one we've had since 2019 because of COVID. And really, I don't want to necessarily jinx us, but up until date, since the assessment notices have been out, we've had conversations with a couple of residents.
I've had 2 calls, yeah.
And I don't know if they're the same ones as
Yeah.
you've had, but we've had 2. And I know Terry has met with both of them, talked to both of them. And following that discussion, I think Terry will be making an adjustment on the one assessment, one residential property. And the other residential property, after discussing it with Terry, basically said, thank you for the clarification, I'm good. So the assessment appeal deadline is still the 16th of May. So somebody could still come in and appeal their assessment, but it's been very quiet in regards to that. So that's a good sign that people are satisfied with their assessment. They think it's within, a reasonable comparison of what they thought it was worth. So that happened yesterday. I know the assessor did go out and meet with the mayor yesterday and introduce himself.
Yeah.
So I know he said he didn't get a chance to chat with you too much because you were busy.
Yeah.
But so that, and just a quick update on, we held a emergency social services workshop today at the community center. So this was a workshop that was actually, believe it or not, scheduled for March of 2020. And COVID hit and we haven't been able to, even though there's been sometimes we've moved through where you could have gatherings and people in. We did have it today. There was approximately 22-ish, 23 members of the community in attendance. So it basically focused on the emergency social service side, reception center, how to open, when to open, what to look for, what to be prepared for, those types of things. I don't know if I'm missing anything, Lori. So it was interesting. Out of the 22 people that were there, I think I'm gonna guess 3 or 4 of them, maybe 5 of them are new residents to the town of Hanna in the last year. Since kind of last summer, a lot of them mentioned. So it was good discussion. Emergency management is always a challenge to be prepared because you don't know what could come down your way. And even when you do an exercise, trying to put the parameters around that exercise, what's realistic, what's not. But it was a good start. We've got some new people in emergency management positions. David's got a lot of experience and moving into the director's role. And of course, Michelle has assumed the ESS portion. And so new to her, she's been learning her way through that. And a couple members of her committee have had to step down or take a lesser of a role. So looking for more volunteers and more people, but it was a good workshop. We did get funding from the province back in 2000 to hold this, and And so they've extended our grant to get us through this workshop today. So it was good. Still lots of work to do and go through, but we did have representation from the school, general public, obviously from the town, special areas. So a good mix across the board, and so it was a good day. So that happened today, and you know, we've got some work to do there, but I think we're in. You know, I always tell people that if we need to activate emergency social services, we have good people in the community, and we have good volunteers, and we'll be able to pull it off and make it happen. So, but it was nice to see some new people in the community who had taken interest in being a part of it, and that happened today. Just looking through Kevin's report as well as Michelle's, it's that transition time for us moving from the arena into the outdoors. So as you can see, lots of stuff with ball diamonds, parks, pool. You know, next Saturday the pool will be open to the public. It'll probably be 2 degrees Celsius, but it will be open. Ball is in, I won't say mid-season stream, but it's had a good start. Was really pleased when we had our ball cleanup the other day. That was the largest turnout of participants to help clean up the ball diamonds and soccer fields that I've seen since we started doing this. So it was nice to see. Again, with Michelle's report, working on Seniors Week. So make sure you have Tuesday, June 7th in your calendar. That is the day.
I got it.
You better have it in your calendar. That is the Mayor's Garden Party day. So we usually look forward to having council there to help hand out the food and drinks and stuff like that. And the mayor has chosen, as you can see, a Ukrainian theme. So that's what we will be having on June 7th. So make sure you got that date in your calendar. Other than that, I don't know if there's anything else to update, but certainly answer any questions or issues council may have on any of those areas.
With Fox Lake opening early, is the manager out there yet, or?
Not officially.
Okay.
Trailers
So
there.
the Derbyshires have got the trailer out there. They officially start on Friday of this week.
Is there much for units out there yet?
There was one unit out there. I know I talked to a gentleman yesterday who was planning to move his unit out there. He only had 2 more days left in the hotel, and then there was no rooms. So we didn't have the numbers we thought, but I think with this whole wind thing, and the mayor might be able to chime in, he's got some inside info that it's hasn't started as fast as they anticipated for various reasons. There's still a lot of people in town, but they're just kind of building up, and every week there's more coming. I know talking to Tammy McMillan today, she said one of the companies in town that's working on, I can't remember who, she's been talking with a fair bit, and their crew's not scheduled to come in until June.
Yeah, the end of June. most of them, Yeah.
So I'm anticipating we'll have a good number out at the lake, but
The biggest thing is that from what I have found and listening a lot is it's gonna be stages of people. It's not gonna be like when Ballard come in, you're gonna have 400 people.
Yeah.
We're gonna have 80 people, and then we're gonna have 80 people, and we're gonna have 80 people. So it's not gonna be a massive influx of 400 people. It'll be like in stages, because basically what's happening now is the dirt work's being done. So we've got a company called Tornado doing some dirt work on the Ant Hills project. We've got a company called Morgan doing some work up for Trans Alta, and getting a couple of smaller companies that are picking up stuff. So, and basically they're doing the site prep. And then when they're done the site prep, then the cement guys come in, and it seems like it's progressing along, but it's like I said, it's not like the Ballard thing, they bring 400 people to town in one day So it's good, it's interesting for sure. They're struggling with not understanding why they can't deliver out to the wind farm office in the Handhills, and I'm going, well, because it's 40 miles out of town, and they're going, well, we can get that in Calgary. Well, we're not in Calgary anymore, so. But yeah, we're working with them. They're figuring it out. Like I said, you're leaving town anyway to go out there, so they're just stopping. Me going in at 6 o'clock in the morning seems to be helpful quite a bit. So,
But it will be fully open. We're anticipating turning the water on this week.
It is.
It's
We
on.
opened it.
Okay, and be ready to go. And Derbyshires will be out there as of Friday. They will start their contract. So
Mr. Neal, the garden party, at what time would you like the council members to come to help?
I would initially put in your calendar probably 11:30.
Thank you.
Yeah, 11:30 till probably it's over around 1-ish.
At the community center?
Community center, yes.
I think I put an appointment ready that day.
Would the mayor want people dressing up or something to go with the theme, or?
no, it just, I originally had
Just
thought,
given that we're,
yeah, no, I originally was trying to line up a couple of different Ukrainian dance club groups. But their season, like they're like the dance festival, they have a season. And so basically they wind up about the middle of May, and being that was, so then I thought, well, I spin it a different way and see if we get some younger groups, give them an opportunity. But they're in school, and the ones that are able to drive are getting close to doing finals and stuff like that. So yeah, it was quite a process. I always ended up adopting a family out of the whole thing. I phoned him up and he says, yes, the family you were talking about. Whoa. But yeah, the town of Bakerville is really bustling with this bringing in of refugees and stuff from Ukraine. So it was actually, we did talk to them again, and they basically, what he suggested was, if I was really serious about it, they wanted to bring 2 families in, so they have someone to communicate with and so on and so forth. So, but yeah, but the dance thing did fall through, unfortunately. So it'd be good though, something different. Anything else? Any questions of Mr. Neal or Mr. Olson?
The staff barbecue is still on the 3rd?
No,
No, didn't we
we
change
changed
that?
it to the 29th
Okay. I didn't have my calendar, so, okay, I'm fixing that. Okay, 29th, thank you.
of June.
of June.
Don't look at me.
We'll send an invite, but it'll be probably 5:30-ish, 5:36-ish.
Okay, do we have a motion to accept senior administrative office official reports?
I think though, before you do it, I think Lori
Oh,
wanted
sorry,
to
Lori.
touch base a little bit about the electronic sign for sure.
Yeah, I just want to point your attention to it. I've gotten a little bit more information and a bit of an update since I've prepared the report. I've tried to kind of explain as best as I could understand, the lifespan and the issues with the sign. I'm feeling like having a technician come out here to replace what they think might be 4 modules just feels not right. It just feels like throwing money away. So there are some diagnostics that I'm aware of within the software that we can run that they never asked for. When I spoke directly with the technician, he said, oh, well, that would certainly be helpful. So part of the holdup there has been having my staff member and I at work on the same day to do that. Now I was off last week for a day, and now she's off for a few days this week. So Brent doesn't know it yet, but I'm gonna ask one of his staff if they would give me a hand. We need somebody here at the office to run the diagnostics, and we need somebody at the side to do some photo and video. And that'll help us determine more closely what the repair is. So at a minimum, we know it's going to be the $7,000 to replace the sign. And after Mayor Potaschuk asked at our last meeting is, do we bother replacing it? I thought I would just take that a step further and threw that out to those contacts for a replacement. Very ballpark
figure, but looking at the specs, the size, going with the newer technology would be about $60,000 all in to replace what we have. So I guess maybe we'll have a discussion more around what direction council would like to go with that at our meeting.
Yeah, I wanted to give you some time to think about it. You know, there are some options. We could choose not to repair it at all, and then the sign would not function, not work. We could go dark temporarily until such time as we come up with the funding that we need to do to repair it. Or sorry, replace it. We do have the $7,200 in the budget to repair it. Again, Lori, we'll have to get some more information whether that 7,200. Again, there's no guarantee with the 7,200. You fix those 4 modules, they're all the same age, same amount of wear, weather, then 2 days after, you know, more go. So I wanted to just give you, we'll get a little bit more information, but I want just for you to think about, you know, that sign. The other thing, talking with Mark Dakota today, there is an option potentially. We are working with Harvest Sky with some of their grant dollars on signage plan for town that would look at new entrance signs, look at new wayfinding signs and town-owned signs. That might be an opportunity that we could slip that into that project and see, you know, at the end of the day, if we're over the allotted amount from the grant, then council will have to look at the sign priorities and prioritize. And if electric sign is more of a priority than some of the location signs or some of the wayfinding signs, that might be another option down the road. So
Myself, I'd like to just go to black, be waiting for the
Okay.
quote. I mean, I'd give 2 or 3 comments a day on that.
at least people are seeing
I
it.
didn't want to say that the quote has been received because that puts.
Yeah, it's fine. It just,
council
yeah.
out. We can
Councilor
block.
Bowden?
Well, I know it's difficult to be able to rate or determine feedback and how useful or how much benefit the community gets with that sign. Would you have any guesses as far as, you know, any comments people have maybe received, you know, as far as being able to see if it's really benefiting the community or not?
When it first went up, the intent, we were in another big economic development push again at that time. And the intent was to show that Hanna's a busy, vibrant, lots going on place, you know, and to show the travelers, people coming in and out of the community. When people ask us to help communicate their community event, these are not-for-profit community events outside of town events. So if they contact the office, they'll say, I want to put my event on your sign. So there's various ways. It can be on our community event calendar, which then goes out into our e-news. It could be in our newsletter. It could be on the kiosks. There's a number of ways that we can help them at no cost to them communicate their community event. But they do say, I want my event on the sign. So I don't know if it's just because it's so visible.
Well, and I know there was some controversy when it first went where it is about the location, that people going by can't see it, you know,
I don't
unless they were to
recall.
slow down or whatever, whether or not it would be more useful, more along the lines as you're driving in for people to take notice because you're slowing down to 50 versus
At the time, the
80.
intent was for the highway traffic.
Mhm.
I don't recall there being controversy. If there was out in the community, I wasn't privy to that. The only thing I do recall is, wouldn't it be really neat to have one in town as well? So that people who aren't constantly going out to the west entrance to see what's happening. Of course, that was before the days of social media being as heavy as they are. So it still is very much a highway communication tool, and people who don't maybe use social media as actively.
I
Yeah,
do
I
know
remember
that a
there-
lot of people do read the sign.
I remember there being a lot of negative comments about it, but a lot of times that's all you hear is the negative. You don't hear all the good stuff, right?
I usually get the negative. Yeah, and I honestly would have to say there was not a lot.
But that
But
was
that was
14 years ago, so.
Things change a lot.
The TVs in the medical center are amazing. Having all of them in there, I found that really a lot of.
And that
people
was
are-
kind of a spin-off of the feedback coming from people. Wouldn't it be nice to have that information somewhere in town?
It's a
Where
good spot.
where you could put that in one place that everybody could see, I don't know, so. I went as another option. That's something else we could continue to do or not continue to do. So.
Any other council comments? Sorry.
How long of a wait do we have for the repairs to be done? If we went that route?
Yeah, they feel confident that they can get the parts that they've ordered. So it would just be a matter of the technician booking it in and getting here to get it done. I didn't get a definitive date, but the quote's only good for 30 days, so.
I think Council Camp, you have a question as well.
Yeah, just my own personal thing, I don't like the location where it is. It's, if you're coming off highway, you get a quick look at it. If you're making a left turn, the only way where you get a really good look at it is if you come from South Municipal Road heading west. And I think that we'd be better off to get my fellow counselor here to make a sign that says welcome to Hanna and put it on both sides.
And that's an
I
option.
just
to
can't
discuss.
see wasting it, or like, especially replacing it, $70-some thousand. I don't think we gain that much out of it.
I'd make a pretty
That's
sign
my
for
opinion.
$70,000.
Huh?
I'd make a pretty sign for
No,
$70,000.
no,
I'm just kidding.
I have to put the sparkles on, but we won't charge them that much. So.
So, Mr. Mayor, there's no need to
No
make a
need
decision
to,
tonight.
no, I just for thought.
We just wanted to let you know, be aware of it, think about it. As I said, we are working with 818 and Harvest Sky on a total signage package, which does include new entrance signs, new wayfinding signs, new facility signs. So when we get that package closer, that'll give you, so we are taking care. We talked about that just briefly, Mark and I today, too, that if we wanted to change that sign and make that sign our welcome to Hanna sign, then I think we would eliminate the sign to the west.
Yeah.
There's no use having two welcome to Hanna signs, within a mile of each other, so.
Well, and the information sign, and I'm gonna refer to Elk Point, like Highway 41 goes through the town, where our highway doesn't go through the town,
Passes,
so
yeah.
it passes, so in support of what you're saying, the guys that come to my shop read it because they're on the way to the shop, they're slowing
Yeah.
down, so yeah, I have a different look at it than most people do. People going to downtown probably take a glance, and if it's, the complaint I got is that the time isn't up there long enough, or the temperature isn't up there long enough, or it's wrong. But yeah, moving it might not be a bad idea, covering over might not be a bad idea, but yeah, 60 grand is a lot of money for that. I know in Elk Point, I'm not sure if it's not the chamber, because the Lions Club, the Elks, and one other service club actually put up the sign, and they get a sponsorship or how they do it, but it's, like I said, it's a similar sign to what they have at PLRD. It's a smaller sign, but does the same thing. So yeah, anyway, just for thought, guys, so just.
Mr. Mayor, I just
Councilor.
want to allude once again, I was just had that same thought with PLRD having that sign there, and as a collaborative measure, maybe we could have some conversation with them in regards to maybe accessing that with some information that we may or may not want to put out there. I mean, that might be.
Because for the most part, the PLRD sign is the time.
Yeah. There's
But
a few things on it, but there's a-
The PLRD sign, certainly we can have that conversation with them. The challenge I see with the PLRD sign is it's quite small. So if you're trying to put,
A lot of information.
a decent amount of information about event, what day, what time, by the time it scrolls around, you know, to cover that. Our sign on the road is bigger and you can put
Understand.
more information on it. So I don't know how effective it would be at putting, you know, any community events on it because of the time that it would take to scroll through, but it's certainly something to look at.
That's what I was thinking, just something that, you know, maybe we could consider.
Yeah. And again, signs to me, I visually tune them out. So I could not tell you what I ever see on the Prairie Land sign when I'm coming into town.
The clock.
You know, it's just something that's there every time you go past it and you just, you know, at least I do, I don't look at it,
You have
so.
to stop, like you do the town side,
Yeah.
and actually spend the time there.
So, but yeah, it's just something to think about that, where we're at with the sign, if we didn't want to throw something on you on the spot, so give you a chance to think a little bit more about it and gather your thoughts as we move forward, so.
You want to do your little RCMP book?
I'm not sure why that's there.
Is that the survey from last week, I wonder, or last?
I didn't include that in my reporter. If I did, I didn't intend to.
Okay, I think
Or
that,
was it, or did I put it in like a month ago?
we might have duplicated it, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, it
my
come in-
apologies.
come in your report.
Okay,
So you've
it would
done,
just be the results from the RCMP survey
Survey.
that
Just was concluded.
were we still on Kim's or you've done your report?
I'm finished.
We're on
and
all-
we can
any
move
of
to
them.
Brent.
Okay, I have a question for you. One that I'm getting thrown lots of questions at, what is with this poop fairy thing? Some people think that is the stupidest thing they ever seen, and they wonder why we're wasting money paying for advertisement to put that thing on there. They
So,
just think this is childish.
so it's a
It's an
it's
awareness.
a PR program that we've undertaken because of our lack of good pet owners who are not cleaning up after their animals. And it was a program, we worked with some of our local dog owners who are frustrated that people aren't cleaning up and they're cleaning up for them. And there's no cost to the program.
There's no advertising.
There's no advertising cost.
It's people out there and anybody with kids that run around out there. I appreciate all of it because the one out there, she runs it like a warden out there. It's amazing. If she
Yeah,
sees
well,
anything
there's-
out there, she's all over them. So for something
I've
that
had
doesn't
some,
cost a
I've had
penny,
some
it's great.
negative feedback too from some
Because of
individuals
the,
because of the wording.
and because of where I live, like with that empty
Field.
PRD land, a lot of them bring them there and I have an inspector in the house that sees every one of them, but don't. And
Well,
And
and
then-
the concern that has been brought forward more than once from those who do walk their animals and those who do pick up is that the town's gonna stop letting them use our parks and green spaces because they're becoming such a mess. And so by having this campaign and recognizing those people, the feedback that I've received has been, well, there's the negative side, they don't like the wording, whatever. But the feedback from them has been that, you know, it was sure nice, it's sure been nice to be recognized for doing something good. And they've been very appreciative. And now don't feel really concerned they're gonna get kicked out of the parks. for
They're
walking their
concerned over the
dogs.
word.
Very,
well, I
Call
think
the poop
that,
fairy.
I think that's the word that they said, why don't they just put a little advertisement thing in there, tell them where the bags are and different things like that. Give them the hint, but
because that's been done for years and years and years, so we just
I
tried something
think
different.
when they put them two words together, poop and fairy.
Did it get
it's-
to your
Yeah,
attention?
it's.
I was gonna say, based on what I'm hearing, it's gotten everyone's attention, so it's not a bad
Have
thing.
a dog and I've seen it.
So
whatever.
it's, so yeah, it was a spin to try and do something, promote it differently in a different manner, in a different way. I know my daughter works for the Edmonton Humane Society and she thought the first videos were awesome. She was sharing them with all of her staff, everyone. She just thought it was a different, unique way of trying to get the message across. You can put out the simple pick up after your dog, be a good pet owner. This was just something we tried to do a little bit differently in a different manner and
It's working because people are talking about it, good, bad, or otherwise.
We're talking about it now, so.
Mm.
yeah, I agree with it.
I
So it's
personally think
working.
it's a great idea. And it's-
I guess.
so and we did see, and I don't know if you did see in the accounts payable, but we did buy some gift cards from our local businesses to give out and reward to those people as a thank you, whether it's a $5 gift card to go to Tacabri or to the Prairie Wallflower.
Tim Hortons or whatever.
Yeah,
No,
just-
those two businesses, and I'll tell you, I have not been appreciated like that in a long time over buying some $5 gift cards. They were so appreciative that the town would spend that money in their businesses to bring in
That's
other
great.
people. Over $5 gift cards.
Yep.
It was a good, feel good all the
And
way
like I
around.
said, it's
Yeah.
being talked about, so it's not a bad thing.
We've tried shaming, it doesn't work. Nothing.
And I've
works.
told
This is positive.
people this many times, you know, people will say, well, we need to enforce that. You're not gonna ever enforce that. You know, a dog owner who's walking their dog and their dog stops to do its business. If you're a bad owner, that you're gonna look around, anybody see that? Nope, I'm gonna keep going. Oh, there's somebody there. Maybe I better pick it up. But unfortunately, we have, you know, and it's not just here.
Well,
Anywhere you go, it's the same thing. It's part of being a good pet owner. And
It's like having cats. Lots of people are really good about their cats and other people just open the door at the night, kick them out, and then they come back in a little box and they go, is this your kitty? And they go, oh, yeah. And it's frustrating. And I mean, it's awareness though. That's all it is.
Yeah.
And I think this is a good start.
That's what one of my complainants does not have a dog, but a cat. She does have a cat. I said, well, if you get out and clean it up, I'm sure I can get your picture taken for you.
Kitty patrol.
Would she be eligible for the?
Oh, and all we need is for you to
Sure.
send me a picture.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So I'm
So it
just
doesn't have to be
curious,
a
how
dog.
far and wide is
Yeah.
this? Is this, and who's monitoring all this now that?
There's
I'm
no
getting-
monitoring. It's something I've
So-
wanted to do for a number of years, is recognize the positive.
Oh,
And we
So,
finally
but
found an
who is
ambassador.
it just people in the community that have to come to you and say?
No.
oh, no.
No, I've
So-
had one ambassador, and I've said, I know you're very well connected with different people who have dogs. I don't have a dog anymore. I totally work to walk my dog. Are you interested in doing this? And that ambassador said,
So is that just up there in the north end of town, or is that in all the parks and anywhere in the municipality of
we
Hanna?
want people to pick up
Yeah.
anytime their dog leaves a deposit. Yeah, so the location of where these were handed out is irrelevant.
I just wanted
They
to
were all
know if it
handed
was
out within
inclusive of anywhere in Hanna then, just.
And the ambassador goes everywhere.
So this ambassador is the one taking the pictures?
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
no questions for Mr.
no.
Olson? Don't let him off the
Yeah.
hook.
I just, I'd like to just give you guys some awareness. We are going to be next week starting sewer flushing. So our annual program, so if you get some comments, people say they have a bad smell, tell them to fill the traps. Yeah,
That's.
we have a different,
Just blame GFL.
we have a different nozzle, so we won't be putting as much pressure, so hopefully we're not throwing fluid up people's toilets. A few people say that happens. We're not sure how, but, and the other thing is, so we'll start next week and then we will shut down for fall cleanup
Spring cleanup.
or spring cleanup. I just want you guys to understand what that means. We say it's cleanup week. It's not. What that means is be prepared for that week.
Compost, we call it. now.
Compost now, because we have to work with the dump site, and Sean Olmsted has been phenomenal, but it used to be people would tear their deck apart, their kitchen apart, their fences, and they would throw it behind, and we were supposed to pick it
Fridges,
up.
whatever, yeah.
So we can't do that anymore because of the regulations and how things get disposed of. So, and every compost, we are requesting that it's in a clear bag, because we have people, we have taken pictures of people filling the bags with dog shit, paint cans. And our guys, we have to actually split those bags and dump them into the loader and dump them in the truck, because they have to go out of the building. And we work very hard to do that. Sean has given us an employee a couple of years. With COVID, he couldn't. And he's trusting us now because he's busy too. So, so we start on Monday or Tuesday and we'll do the first loop and we'll pick up all the leaves and trees and some domestic garbage. If there's garbage in the bags, we can dump it in the building, but we're trying to eliminate that. We have made the choice to leave bags if there's too much garbage, and Sean's okay with that. So we'll do that on Tuesday. If there's a lot of leaves, we'll do that a couple days. And then we do another pass where we pick up metal and fridges and stoves, and because they pay for the fridges here. If they phone here, they can pay for it. We get a ticket, we know that the fridge has been paid for, and we'll pick it up. Otherwise, we won't. We don't pick up tires, we don't pick up concrete, we don't pick up grass clippings that are just sitting behind. We're just following what Sean would like us to do. At one point, he was going to refuse us even doing it because there's too much garbage generated and too much garbage that is it wasn't fitting the composting requirements. So.
Yeah, with that, Brent, just to help you along with that, the reason that it was is because a lot of times people come out there with truckloads of material, whether it was a fence or whatever, and this and that, they can't unload it. All that product that is brought out and put inside the building goes inside of our cells. And they cost $1 million to build. And they don't take long to fill them if we keep allowing that in there, you know, so.
And that's right. And that the idea was always to be compost. It just kind of got lost over the years. And then with all the regulations coming back up, we've gone back to just compost. We have been pretty lenient, but we do ask for clear bags or the decomposing bags. But we do have to cut every bag, dump it in the loader, dump it in the truck so that it stays out of our landfill. So that's just an idea so you guys understand the program. We do a lot of literature on it, and
I was gonna say, are we putting it out as
What's accepted?
we do lots. Lori has worked
No, no,
very
I
hard.
just- Yeah,
We've had a video put out, which Lori helped us with. So the education is there and it has been better, but there's just some are new, and I just wanted you guys to understand. That's-
And also the landfill grants, just so people know, we've had some new employees hired too. The ones that are there are kind of green.
Yeah.
You know?
I stole Shane. I'm really sorry, guys, but I took him. He's taking over my sign business.
it's okay.
He's a good
Yeah.
employee. He's a good
He
worker
is.
out there. So
Yeah,
I'm
you
excited
and
to
I
have him.
gotta talk.
that's all I have unless there's other.
Well, I was just at the dump today, taking some stuff out, and I was informed about certain areas, or there's new cells that they're creating there, that they're changing a lot of the rules because they're getting that from above as far as, you know, changes in what is allowed within landfill and all of that sort of thing. So I think they've been getting a bit of grief from some of the residents as far as, well, I know all this, well, there are new changes and new employees and that sort of thing. So if we could all just sort of respect them and realize that there are changes that they're being forced to do, and just to help them out and.
They're actually
be
generating a
respectful.
new handbook, and I said to ask Sean when they get the handbook done, if he could share it with us, and then we can put it on our, so they are working on a new handbook.
And if people get frustrated, just so you know that it's not spring cleanup week. It's supposed to be done and we pick it up.
Mhm.
That doesn't mean we pick it up all week because we do have other things. We try to do one pass if we have to do two, depending on the stuff that's out there. So just so you understand, if people come up to you.
It's too bad I took 62 bags out on a weekend. Should've waited.
Well, you have a truck, so thank you.
Were they in clear bags?
They were. Well,
Okay,
I cut 'em out.
And that's all I have. I just wanted to, those are things we got coming up. I just wanted you guys to know.
Thank you.
So we are building a ramp thing there to unload demolition material that's down the road. We haven't got it done yet.
Yeah, Sean.
So we do take small loads, but bigger loads, we send them to the landfill, so.
And you're using more of the screenings.
Yes.
too, so is that good? Is that bad?
We're gonna see,
Oh,
it
sure.
works at the ball diamond, it keeps the dust down, we've used it. I did half of South Municipal Road with some stuff today. We'll see how that packs in to keep the dust down for the water treatment plant. I know it works in the laneways. When we have an opportunity to get in, and spring pickup usually helps us, we get to know if we can get the grader in there without making frost boils. So yeah, it saves on gravel. It seems to be doing okay.
And your inventory of that, how are you doing? You still got tons?
We have lots there, and we are screening it. But on that note, we are at one point gonna have to start to budget to do some crushing. I know Special Areas crushed a lot of their pile, and we have a lot of, like our ADCO camp to clean that up. We'll have to budget for that, and I'll give you guys some numbers down the road, but we do have a lot for now.
Okay,
So we should.
thank you.
Any other questions?
That's it. Thank you.
Council accept the senior administrative reports, 8.0 to 8.03, as presented for information, motion, Council Bowden, all in favor? Carried. Spring budget adjustments,
So, Mr. Mayor, I don't think we want to go through all of the adjustments we went through 2 weeks ago, but basically, following the consensus of council and with the adjustments we brought forward at the council info session and the reflections, so this budget's been reflected to also be a 0% change to the residential municipal tax rate, as well as a 1% decrease to the non-municipal tax rate from 2021. So we've used those two. I know later on in the agenda, council will have the opportunity to approve that tax rate bylaw. So the budget that you would be approving now is based on that tax rate bylaw. So it does mean at the end of the day that with those changes we made, there will be a draw from surplus of 73,616 to balance the budget. So if there's any questions, there's no other changes to the discussion we had at the info session.
okay with that?
It's a long one to read, Mr. Mayor.
Yes. Recommendation motion that counts, whereas council approved the 2022 operating and capital budget for the town of Hanna at the December 14th, 2021 council meeting, and whereas the adjustments under the adopted budget are required for various reasons prior to setting the 2022 tax rates, and whereas the 2022 operating capital budget has been adjusted to reflect a zero change in residential municipal tax rate from 2021 and a 1% decrease for non-residential municipal tax rates from the 2021 rate, and draw from surplus the amount of $73,616. Motion.
Bingo.
Bingo, Councilor Cameron.
Should I read that again? Just-
Yeah, which part did you miss there? All in favor? Carried. Golf course millings donation request.
So, Mr. Mayor, the town did get a request from the golf course last summer to inquire to whether the town would donate some of these asphalt screen millings that we've talked about. So they could be used on their existing cart paths. They figure it will pack in better and will reduce the dust. So we didn't bring it forward last summer. Now we're starting up. So they had requested it be donated. They did say if council did not want to donate the material, they would consider. Oh, Mr. Moore, are you listening? they would consider a cost, but we would have to come up with a cost for that material, at which time they would then decide. As I said, we have a ton of the millings. We think it would work well there. We have had, requests from private individuals wanting to purchase it from us, and we've indicated it's not for sale. The golf course being a not-for-profit organization, public organization and community, we felt that it would be appropriate to donate the material, and we would simply supply it and deliver it to the golf course. And they would be responsible from that point in terms of putting it out or placing it on the cart paths. So I don't know if there's anything else to add. I can certainly answer your questions, Mr. Mayor.
No, I think it would work rather well in the fact that doesn't have the heavy traffic on it, so it won't break down. Council Kroll?
How much of this are they gonna need? Like, is there any kind of plan on how they're gonna get it to the cart path?
There's a lot of
how thick are they gonna do
volunteers
it?
that'll
How
haul it
wide is
around.
it? Like how much are they gonna use?
That's the question. We don't anticipate it will be much because the cart path is very narrow. It's not like a road or an alley.
So how are they gonna compact this?
It'll
It
compact
doesn't
with
compact per se.
your carts.
There's no binding agent in it. So it will not compact. I mean, it's just dust control is all it is. But
Yeah,
as far as them getting it out there, they've got numerous means of doing it. They've got the gator, they've got the Kubota, they've got
the Bobcat.
Bobcat.
So, and we would drop it, for example, if council approved it and gave us the go ahead to do this, we would take a load and probably put it out in the triplex area somewhere. So it's less distance for them to travel to do some of those back 9 holes, some obviously in their maintenance shop, wherever they've got a place that they could put it that makes it easy. Certainly there'll be, some areas where they'll have to haul it a long ways, but just thought that we could contribute to that organization.
Mr. Neal, just to clarify, those millings were at no cost to us, right?
Correct. The only cost to the town is the town did purchase a screener a couple of years ago, so we could screen it to the
Right.
appropriate size. So when we screen it, it does take staff resources to screen it, but the material itself was all free.
Okay, thank you.
Council Captain?
Yeah, I've got some questions similar to Councilor Kroll. I'd like to know the length of the cart paths that go all the way around the 18 holes. And the width of it, it's as you said, CEO Neil there, it is not narrow. It's got to be at least 4 feet wide because them golf carts are that wide. So
Yeah, and that's what I meant, Councilor Campion. It's
yeah,
narrow
and the
compared
length
to a
and
road.
the length of the cart path, right from one end of the golf course to the other, the width of it, and the thickness they're gonna lay it, so that we have an idea of how much this is gonna take.
So I guess to
I would
speak,
like to know that, like, that's before I make a decision, that's what I'd like to know. Have more information on it, because there are places in town that like the Lions Hall parking lot, the triplex parking lot, GFL Service Road, places like that. Like especially the triplex parking lot, those are places where we have the kids going lots of times. And we have never done nothing to them parking lots, and
Yeah, we have.
well,
they've all, everyone you listed has had some.
they're gravel, that's about it.
No, we put millings on the access road into the triplex. And we are preparing, we are putting them down, put next to the Lions Hall, that we're in the process of that. I can't answer your question, Council Campion. I don't know how much material you're
The
gonna
course
use.
plays 7,200 yards, so they had another 600 yards for distance between holes. So approximately 7,800 yards.
8,000 yards.
Say 8,000 yards. The paths are approximately 6 feet across. And they're not looking to build a road, they're looking for dust control. And from what I'm reading here.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking if you put on an inch over that 8,000 yards, I don't think would be unreasonable.
I think if you add up an inch over the total distance of that, that is a lot of product. I just would like to know a little more information on just how much
Is
they're
your
asking.
concern they would deplete the supply and the town wouldn't have any left, or?
Well, if it's gonna take half that pile, then.
Oh,
no.
No, it wouldn't take 5%.
This, what it said in here, it doesn't say anything about how much it is, so.
No, I don't have it. I don't have an
That's a concern I
estimate.
have
Well,
about
that's
it.
valid.
And to be honest, if you guys are okay with it, I still have to give Sean Kovich a call because technically that's not, it's ours to take what we need, but Special Areas hasn't said, this is your pile and that's my pile. So that's why we don't sell it to farmers, or they've given us, between Owen Francis and Sean Kovich, they've given us permission to go ahead and screen what we need to use. They're good with that. But I'm still gonna say that council, the golf course is asked. We were wondering if we could, and I don't believe it's gonna be a problem because they have donated gravel.
They basically
golf
donated
course
the gravel
before.
to the golf course. in the past.
But it's a luxury for us, but it wasn't piled there and said that's the town of Hanna's. We're still trying to come up with a problem.
Approximately 4,000 cubic feet.
Yeah, we're trying to come up with a solution for South Municipal Road. We're trying to find bonding agents. They've tried it in a few different spots in Youngstown. We can't find anything that actually holds it together like actual asphalt. But it is a good dust control, and there's no way they'll touch.
You wouldn't even notice it on the pile.
Is there any plans for using it on Railway Avenue or?
Not at this time. Railway Avenue needs to be completely tilled up, gravel packed, oiled, and laid back out, and we just haven't budgeted for that in some time.
So if other nonprofit groups come and ask, will that same, if this is approved, will that same be approved for them as well, or does that have to come to council?
Well, that would have to come to
No, we would-
council. Everything has to,
But Councilor Bowden, it would be hard for you to say no to another not-for-profit who had a facility in our community.
Right, well, that's, I guess my thing is, I'm still sour on the $60,000 that was written off. But I guess if there's no value attached to the material to be able to sell it to private individuals, then I don't know how you would determine the value of the donation.
There's a value to the
Yeah.
material. Don't get me wrong, there's a value
Yeah, I
to
know
the
there is a
material.
value to it, but I just think that, yeah, I am supportive of the golf course regardless of what you might think. And yeah, is there any issue, should there be rains or something that some of the oils or something leak out of it into the golf course as far as environmental or anything?
It's been on a highway for years, and it's rained and it doesn't leach into the
Yeah, well, I'm
ditches.
not sure about what the golf course has as far as looking after their grass and that sort of thing. They've got an investment in that as well. So.
Approximately, you're looking at 148 cubic yards of gravel, so 14 loads with gravel truck.
And what did you use today, Brent, on South Municipal Road?
I used, what did I use? 15 loads, 10 yards a load.
So basically the same amount you used today and that's using 6 feet wide, 8,001
Yards.
inch thick.
And you didn't even make a dent, right?
No,
Trust
Is
me, those
this
ones
all,
cut
is
the
it
best
all
way.
stored on town property, the millings?
half of it, a little less than half. There's a great big pile in Youngstown too.
Okay.
I think there was 90,000 ton we
Yeah.
were supposed to get. I
That's a
think we have
lot.
40,000. 40,000 here and the rest is in.
By the time we
What
do
would,
this, we'll be doing roads again.
Sorry.
What would it, you said 14 loads, you figured we're up to, what would be the cost of, any idea the cost of what it costs to screen that and deliver it? Brent?
An average load of gravel when we were paying for just gravel, Was $120 a load. That's with a belly dump. This stuff they say is worth a little bit more, but we haven't actually got a price from anybody.
So Brent, though, do you have any idea? For
the
example,
labor.
if your guys are there, screening, how long it takes them to get
Half
10
a day.
yards?
We could screen a pile for the golf course in half a day with one guy running the loader.
Well, the amount that would go, that went on that road is not gonna be, like, the width, you're not gonna be putting that much on the golf, and it's not gonna be, I would imagine there's areas of more concern than others. And if it saves having to pay for some other solution or whatever.
Well, they have been putting shale down, and by shale's more
Expensive.
costly.
And there is some of those 8,000 yards already have asphalt. Asphalt down, so you wouldn't be, you're not paving the whole entire
No.
cart, because hole 18 in is paved, I think 2 is paved back up to 3 tee boxes, so there is some areas of that golf course, of that 8,000 yards that
Would be considerably less than.
wouldn't be used because it's already an asphalt base.
They started doing Fox Lake, the walkway out to there, and then it, you know, they've never got that done. There's quite a chunk there to do. And then question for you, Brent, would it work around the burn tower where they were talking of paving it?
It will if we can find a bonding agent, and that's what we're waiting with special areas. If we can find something without actually turning it back into asphalt, where it won't break down and end up with potholes, then it'll be useful for there. Youngstown did their fire hall with it, and they're trying it, and they don't like the product so far. That they did try, but they are looking at it.
Is it from the weight of the trucks? It's too heavy, yeah.
Just because we're finding that in the spring, if we can get it out with the moisture of the rain, it will pack better.
Yeah.
And then once it gets hot in the summer, if there is any oil in it, it will bond, but it's pretty dry stuff. It's been on the highway. But again, 40,000 ton. When we talked about doing South Municipal Road, I don't even think that would take half the pile
No,
to build the road up and put a layer on. When I was talking with special areas.
we had a huge amount, like, we've used it to date, and, you know, whether it's Shaker Alley.
60,000 yards, Brent, is what they brought in.
No, they brought in 40,000 ton
Tons, okay.
here and 50,000 in Youngstown.
But we haven't even made a dent in that pile
No,
over the last 2 years.
It's great recycling too. I mean, it's not I'm supportive of it, whether or not I've ever golfed, which I haven't. One day when I retire, I'm gonna try it. But I'm certainly supportive of trying it if it reduces dust, anything to reduce the dust.
the trail going out to Fox Lake, we did try it on there. We didn't pack it. We did have some complaints. They say that it's harder to walk on than shale. But we do have a roller drum. Kevin and I have discussed. We're trying to get that fixed up. We do have a pile of millings in the old Atco camp. That was taken off of Home Hardware, which had a lot more cold mix in it, has a lot more oil base in it. So that's what we're hoping to take, and that's our own, that's not from the highway. We're hoping to take that. We started screening it, and we're gonna put that on the trail to Fox Lake.
And then
We're
crush
hoping
it
with-
with the roller?
Yeah, we're hoping with more oil in it, that will pack that harder. And we have more than enough to do the trail to Fox Lake at the Atco camp.
That's good.
Okay, so let's get back to the golf course release request. Do we want to make a motion that the council authorize the supply delivery at no cost for the screens and millings to the Hanna Golf Course to use as a replacement gravel for the cart paths?
I would love to make that motion, Mr. Mayor.
Councilor Olson, all in favor? Opposed? Carried. Crosswalk.
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Mayor.
Sorry. Councilor Cole?
I'd like to maybe add something to that motion?
Well, the
If
motion's
any-
passed, we can't.
If, in the future though,
Yeah,
as we
in the
move
future.
forward,
Yeah, if you want to amend the motion before we present it, then we can do that.
yeah, once the motion's voted on, it's voted on.
Okay, crosswalk, Second Ave, Second Street West.
So, Mr. Mayor, when we get to the recommendation, we need to do it in two parts.
Okay.
So we would do basically that you would accept the crosswalk report for information, because I don't know, you know, you might want to accept the report for information, but you might not want to accept the recommendation.
Yep, that's
Or you
fine.
might have an amendment, but basically I wanted to provide the information. So I provided the information that went to council in 2020, when the decision was made to put the existing crosswalk up. We did do a public engagement process, got some feedback. At the end of the day, there was options presented. The option that you see before you with the lighted crosswalk sign and the post in the middle was the one that was chosen by council and was installed shortly thereafter. I believe that that was the right recommendation. The plan has not worked according to plan. I did not envision that would be a stop sign for people and has caused great consternation and discussion in the 2 years that it's been there. I do think that it was, you know, whether it was required or not, that's a decision of council. I know where I sit in my office, I do see a ton of vehicles at excessive speeds, leaving the last stop sign and heading west. Fortunately, we haven't had any pedestrian conflicts. I know there's been reports of some close contact, but as we move forward, I did put, as I said to the mayor, I probably put a recommendation forward that may not be well received by council, and that's fine. At the end of the day, if council does not like the recommendation I put forward, they can amend it. So at the bottom of the report, the end of the report, I presented 3 options that council has to move forward on this. 1, council can choose to leave the sign as is, no changes. 2, the recommendation, or the other one is, second one I thought might be an option, was still to leave the existing crosswalk signs up on the sidewalks. They aren't lit and don't flash, but it's just it's a crosswalk. It's always been there. It's just some signage on each part of the sidewalk for that. Or the third option was the one I recommended, which probably is controversial, but we would take the middle flashing crosswalk sign, which has been causing the issues. We would take the flashing part of that sign, we would move it to the north side of the street, and it would replace the crosswalk sign that's there. We would have to purchase another flashing crosswalk sign to go to the other side on the sidewalk. Then you could still have the ability to push the button. Both sides of the sidewalk would flash. There would be no sidewalk, obviously no post in the middle, which is the one that's causing the issues. So those are some options. I did recommend that option. It comes at a cost of $5,000. My rationale for that is we've got the crosswalk in there. The other thing too that I wasn't opposed to spending that dollars for was, at the end of the day, as we move forward with the downtown, or if council wanted to down the road, take those 2 signs and move them to a different location and have flashing signs at 2 different locations. They're already paid for and they're there. So it's not, right now with the one flashing one, it's kind of useless to us without the second one to move it to another place. But I know there'll be discussion on this, so I will open the floor to your comments. Those are my comments around it, and we'll see where things go.
Council Bowden.
Well, we're in the process of doing discussions about downtown beautification and redoing the plumbing and the roads and everything in that area, and sidewalks and bump
Yeah.
outs and everything, and is there another bump out that has been kind of somewhat designated for that site? To me, it seems useless to be paying for another sign when we're going to be doing some signage and development in that area. Are we kind of
So,
doubling up? or-
no, I don't think we're doubling up. You're right. We are looking at what the downtown could look like. There's nothing imminent in that regard that's gonna happen, this year. In a perfect world, if everything else stars aligned, it might be something that could be done in 23. But what I would do at that point in time, yes, there would be bump outs there if council approved that design, which then would make the pedestrian crossing much narrower. You wouldn't need them at that time, and then at that point, if council did go this direction, they would be surplus that could be moved and put in any other location.
If we
So,
were talking about a crosswalk over for the seniors paths.
yeah,
By Nix and the bridge.
yeah.
Yeah.
And there's been talk about whether they would be valuable to put a crosswalk between Friesen Brothers and Pharmacy. There's been talk, again, it's hard to put a cross block, a mid block there, and I don't think people are gonna walk to the corner to walk back. So yeah, I don't think they would be remaining our asset, and we could choose to use them wherever we wanted to use them in the future. If it wasn't at that location.
Councilor Olsen.
My thoughts would be, of course, like to see that post removed, and just leave the non-flashing signs there. I would deem them acceptable as they were up to this point. Flashing ones by the matching pair for it later when we so choose, and they can sit in that surplus should they'd love to walk around them. And then use them when they're more useful later on.
Councilor Campion.
My opinion is the same as Councilor Olson. Get that thing out of there. I came down the street today from the east, and there was a truck pulling a trailer with a vehicle on the trailer, and he stopped. And I come right up behind him, and I thought, what did you stop for, you idiot? That's basically what I said. He pulled ahead, he went around the corner to the north. And guess what I did?
Stop.
Did the same thing, and the guy just about nailed me from the back, and it's not his fault, it was mine. So the sooner that thing gets out of there, the better. That thing is nothing but a traffic hazard as far as I'm concerned.
Councilor Crowell, I see you're nodding your head. Is that you're getting the twitch to put your hand up, or?
I agree with Kyle. Good.
Okay, Councilor Warwick, I see the glasses
Well,
coming
it's
off.
just kind of interesting because I was in a vehicle with somebody from Calgary last week, and same thing. They stopped there, and I said, "Why are you stopping?" And they said, "Oh," and I said, "It's kind of funny because we all do it." Because I do it too, but it was just funny from somebody out of town. I was just kind of consciously just aware, just wondering how he was going to react to it, and he stopped. So I think it's problematic. I actually, with number 2 that you have listed here, I'm agreeing with that we remove that middle.
Oh, yeah, there's no doubt the middle post needs to go.
Councilor Murphy.
I'm surprised that a four-way stop wasn't the choice that was made by council at the time, because it's such a busy area with a lot of pedestrians, as well as the town office is right there, the bank. It's a busy little area that would have been an inexpensive alternative. Just have 2 more stop signs, and then no one would have an issue.
So the rationale behind not having a 4-way stop, Councilor Murphy, was that if there's 1,000 vehicles that drive there a day, you'd be stopping 995 of them, 990 of them for no reason. So that was kind of some of the thought around there.
There's already too many stop signs in hand.
Yeah. There's too many there now.
If the crosswalk had been above, like you see the lit above, I think no one would have an issue with it, but that
No, the
post
post is
is going to kill somebody. And if it's gonna kill somebody, it has to get removed, someone's gonna get killed.
Counselor Bowden?
She did.
I forgot what I was
No.
gonna say.
Oh, she leaned forward and stopped.
Yeah, no, I'm having a brain fart, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Get the blood flow.
I'm going to throw my 2 bits in about crosswalks in town. We have none at the post office, and we have as many people crossing there as any other place in the entire town. We have 3 crosswalks in 1 block, and people still don't use the crosswalks. I'll testify to this. So I support what everyone is saying. The post has got to go. I don't think we need to light it up. I've yet to see the crosswalk sign up by the lodge lit up, and I drive past there twice a day.
Never.
I'm fairly early in the morning and fairly late at night, so I will say that that's part of the reason. I don't expect anybody out walking at 5:30 in the morning when I'm going by, but I have seen the one on Main Street. Somebody pressed the button one time. And
This guy used to stop his buddy going
Yeah,
down
okay.
the street all the time.
Councilor, you found it,
I
you found your
did-
part?
I did find it, yeah. And I think there was some discussion about a stop sign would help slow down the traffic in that area. But I don't think that's the purpose of a stop sign. You know, if people are speeding, they need to be held accountable and,
Well, I see there was a mention of enforcement in here, so.
yeah, enforcing the speed limit in there and catching those.
Okay,
So it sounds like consensus is the second, I think it was number 2. So as we move forward, if we're done with the discussion, Mr. Mayor, I would have a motion to accept the report for information.
Yeah.
And then I would have the motion to read the number 2 option that we would remove the, direct administration to remove the middle flashing crosswalk sign, leaving the 2 existing non-flashing sidewalk crossing signs.
okay. So first motion is to have council accept the crosswalk for information on second. Councilor Bowden, all in favor? Second motion is to direct administration to remove the flashing crosswalk sign. And because the other crosswalk signs are already there, correct? On the ends?
2 on the sides are there.
Yeah, so basically just all we need to do is remove the center one,
Yeah.
correct? Okay, Councilor Kroll had his hand up before he even got stumbling, so all in favor? Carry.
Goodbye, folks.
Thank you very much, folks.
I should get there about the end of September.
Do
So the
that for you,
snowfall
do
applies.
ATCO Electric franchise fee extension.
So, Mr. Mayor, I think council's aware, I gave you a lot of information on this topic. Council has a franchise agreement with ATCO Electric for the provision of all of the power distribution systems in town, streetlights, everything. And have for, I don't know how far back, but as far back as anyone can remember, it's been with ATCO. We have to have an agreement. And as part of the exclusivity of them having the agreement, we can choose to have the franchise fee adjusted by them. So the most recent agreement that ATCO Electric entered into with the town of Hanna was effective June 12th, 2013. It was for an initial term of 10 years with the option for 2 additional 5-year extensions. So as part of the agreement, ATCO needs to provide notice of their intention of wanting to extend the agreement, and they have provided that notice that they would like to extend the agreement for the initial 5-year period that they can. And they need council to sign off on that extension. Part of the franchise fee, whoever we're with, generally, I think there's primarily 2 companies that provide the electrical services in municipalities, that being Fortis and ATCO Electric. Some of the cities such as Edmonton, Calgary have EPCOR and Max, but most of the other cities are either Fortis or ATCO Electric. and just to go back to the franchise fee, because it's more in the news these days with the increasing price of the distribution and transmission charges. So we can charge a franchise fee, which was at this originally in 2012 was 3.5%. When council renewed the agreement in 2012, they increased it to 5%. And council, I believe in 2017 or 2018, increased it to 7.5%. The maximum percentage allowable is 20%. So we're not even halfway there. As the mayor and I have chatted about franchise fees and questions, it is another tax. It's another form of tax, but it's a form of tax that a lot of municipalities are taking advantage of because it provides them significant revenue versus raising the tax rate. So for example, we raise the tax rate to generate that kind of money. You're not impacting a lot of places. You're not impacting the schools, the hospitals, the provincial buildings, town facilities. This impacts everyone. So if you're a renter, if you are, the province pays this on the hospital, the school pays this on the school. So a lot of municipalities have taken their allowable percentages and gone to the max, which is 20 on electricity and 30 on natural gas. So we're at 7.5, which is probably midway, kind of average compared to most municipalities. And if we want to change that, we're allowed to change that. There is a process we have to go through to notify the public, and we basically have to notify the public and the Alberta Utilities Commission. But because it's within if we stay within the 20%, there's generally no discussion. There's no turning back. So we're recommending that we extend it with ATCO Electric for another 5 years, which would become effective June 12th, 2023. So.
Mr. Neal, I have a question. Just in regards to comparables, we're using ATCO. Have we looked into ever using Fortis, or is that just not?
The challenge with that is not simple to change franchise holders, because basically what would have to happen is ATCO owns all of that material. They own every inch of the distribution system in town. So if Fortis wanted to do that, or any other company wanted to do that, they'd have to purchase that from ATCO. So we don't, I'm bringing it to you. There's not really a lot of options there for us. I think some of the people who've been around on council or around town for a long time, I know the town spent considerable time and money studying whether they would take over the natural gas system. And so that option would be here for the town too. We could go to ATCO Electric and they would do a valuation on the electric system and we could purchase it from them. I'm not aware of many municipalities that own the electrical system. There is still some in the natural gas business. And I know the town looked at that for many years in the early 2000s. And I guess at the end of the day, decided that it wasn't the best deal for them to go out and purchase that system and operate it. So we don't have a ton of options, Councilor Warwick.
Did you ask that Hanna boy that's the vice president now if we get a discount? Or?
Kevin Burton?
No, I did not ask him if we get a discount.
Oh. He probably give you one. That's good guy.
Yeah. Any other conversation or discussion?
So there's no real change. If council approves it, there's no real changes to the agreement as it sits. And there won't be any changes until such time as council may deem the fact that they want to increase or decrease the franchise fee.
I'll give you motions.
Okay, Council, I'll get to you. Council authorized the mayor and chief administrative officer to enter into electrical distribution system franchise agreement with an extension acknowledgement between ATCO Electric and the town of Hanna in accordance with section 3 of the agreement for a 5-year term, which will become effective June 12th, 2023, expiring date. Oh, hang on.
I don't know if I put the expiry date.
No, you didn't actually.
Well, I said
It'll be-
expiry date of the initial term.
Yeah, for the initial term, so. Council Campion, all in favor? Council Wolf, favor?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no.
That's all right.
Okay, Gary.
I'm outnumbered, I
Drinking
think,
water
so.
safety plan.
Majority rules.
So I don't know if there's much here, Mr. Mayor. We wanted to get the drinking water safety plan to you for information. So as you can see, we're required to do it as part of our licensing with Alberta Environment Parks. But it basically is a risk management plan. So what happens if this happens? What are the, and it has a rate score. So we have to do that. We only do it on the distribution part. Henry Kruger will do one on the treatment and delivery of it. So we've got kind of in the town of Hanna, there'll be two different drinking water safety plans that will go to Alberta Environment. So I don't know if there's any questions on it. It's a little difficult to read. It's a little tiny, but
I know they've covered, your staff, Brent, has covered Gavin's staff, it's from both the house and the shop at different times, so.
Yeah, this doesn't actually have to be submitted, but they come and they ask for it, and as long as council has seen it and they're aware of it. And then if we do any, like when we changed all the valves, we write in that that's no longer a danger, because it's still a danger, but it's less of a risk, because we have new valves, we know they're gonna hold, kind of thing. Yeah, and then the lead sampling, whatever they ask us to do. So basically, once a week, we take our chlorine residual and our turbidity. And we have to do that in all four corners.
Okay, any questions? Hearing none. Council adopts the town of Hanna 2022 drinking water safety plan for the water distribution as presented. Councilor Murphy with the quick one, all in favor?
Thank you.
Gary.
For my age, it's pretty good. I promise I won't hit you on purpose.
Next is our tax rate.
No,
Oh,
no.
sorry.
9.6.
we added 9.06.
9.06, yeah, sorry about that. 9.06.
I'll let Councillor Olson have the floor with this one.
I mentioned it quickly at the info session. There was very little discussion. So I kind of took that as a good sign, but I had a couple residents mention, I guess, downgrading the stop sign at the end of 12th Ave onto Alistar Trail to a yield sign. So I watched for a little bit and people give that stop sign appropriate attention as they would any yield sign. It's an open intersection. So I guess I would like to put a motion forward to, we'd have discussion after motion to move that stop sign at the end of 12th Ave, west end of 12th Ave to a yield sign.
That's the one where we're going north of the dump and the.
Yeah.
Between the golf course and town, basically.
So my only comment to that, and
That should be-
whether council wishes to pass a motion, that's their prerogative. If council would like, we haven't done any public engagement per se, whether we need to do any public engagement, whether council thinks that would be a wise thing to do any public engagement and gather, feedback on that, in favor of yield sign or opposed to a yield sign, or it is in council's prerogative if they feel comfortable that they can certainly make that decision this evening as well to have it changed to a yield sign.
My theory on it is just, it's such an open intersection, barring a few hedges, but a yield sign, and again, as we know how people treat stop signs around here, it would be treated no different. Honestly, it's just so open, you can see all directions when you go up there.
Council
I just have a comment. Every other road that enters onto Alistar that is a paved public road has to stop.
Yes, that's a fair comment,
So
yeah.
why, the only one I think that I'm aware of is Railroad, Roundhouse Road. think that's. the
The
one.
Roundhouse
Yeah.
Road
But
probably
it's
has
not
a
a
stop
paving-
sign.
It's a
Oh,
yield.
is it a yield?
It's a yield.
Okay, sorry.
It is, it's a gravel road, it's not a publicly used road or whatever. So I think I would still like it. I think a lot of open spaces. There was Humboldt was a wide open space and there was a wreck there. I don't think that just because it's wide open necessarily means that people are going to adhere to whether it's a yield or a stop sign. And I think they should be, it's for their own safety to stop. And some of those people coming south on Palliser trails or coming into town, myself included, occasionally forget to slow down to that. And I don't see any benefit on it. Stopping versus a yield takes only a second or two. And I think I would rather, if you do it with this one, how many others are people going to come forward and say, well, I would like to see it as remain as a stop sign.
Sounds good.
I would voucher with Councillor Bodine that I believe it should remain a stop sign, and I don't know if we really have the top authority to go changing it, don't we? Do not have to consult the RCMP?
No, it's our road.
Oh, because in a couple other ones, we had to,
We've asked them their
Yeah, their
advice
yeah,
and their
Okay.
recommendation. We haven't on this particular one, but
but no, I would like to see it stay a stop sign.
Any others? Okay, so we have a motion from Councillor Olson to remove the stop sign and convert it to a yield sign at the corner of 12th Ave and Palliser Trail. All in favor? Okay, opposed? Motion is carried. Opposing is defeated. I knew I was gonna get to that.
That's too bad. I could have done that tomorrow.
we got the crosswalks on.
The other one's September.
See, we just moved up the crosswalk.
There you go.
All right. The tax bylaw number 1024 and 2022. The tax 2022 tax rate bylaw. Mr. Neal, you want to speak?
I don't
to it
know if there's
first?
much
I was
more.
gonna- Yeah,
Much more. We discussed this at the council info session. So basically, at the end of the day, we will bring in, I'm trying to find it here. The education property tax was an increase. So people's, it was only $2,960 the province wants collected. Acadia Foundation went up about 17,000. So there's an increase there. But other than that, we won't, our municipal tax rate will remain the same. If your assessment went down and our residential assessment went down by about $1 million, most people will see either a decrease or be very similar. I don't know if depending on their assessment with the increase to the Acadia and the increase to the school, there might be a slight change. I think when you saw the report, we did 14 residential properties as a sample. The assessment decreased on 10 of those 14, remained the same on 2, increased on 2. So 7 of the 14 properties will see an overall decrease in taxes. Of the 15 residential, 4 had a decrease, 15 non-residential, 4 had a decrease in assessment, and 7 will see a decrease in taxes. So we have basically left the municipal tax rate portion to remain the same as 2021. And there is a 1% reduction in the municipal tax rate on the non-residential side. So there is some examples in there in terms of on the residential side, if you had a 200 assessed value of $200,000, your taxes would go up $21. And primarily, that's the Acadia Foundation and the school foundation. On the non-residential side, on $200,000 of taxes, you will see a decrease of $35 on the 200,000. If it's your property's at $1 million, you'd have to times that by 5. So again, it's not, I can't say it's consistent across the board because assessment levels vary and the rate will be the only constant, so. So I don't know if there's any questions. It's what we discussed at the info session and the consensus we had moving forward from that meeting, so.
My only concern, and I will voice it again, is we're going to have to start putting some money away for infrastructure. And that's my only concern, and I would like to get a little bit of a head start on it instead of trying to come up with it. I'm gonna throw a $500,000 one day. I would sooner have $100,000 this year or 200,000, and so because the way the economy appears to be, and I'm not an economist, appears to be going, I can foresee some more provincial money coming this way, probably in a matching form of some kind, so don't give it away. But we have some infrastructure that I think we need to consider. The breakout here at the stop sign or the crosswalk sign, as I said, I'd be happier if it was a valve failure, because that means our piping is in good condition. Being the fact that it was a pipe failure, it could mean that we have future issues. Not saying we're going to have,
Thank you.
but we could have. That's my only, I'm not trying to be the bad guy. I just let my feelings on it.
So in discussion with the mayor a little bit on this, and and I guess it's a heads up for council as we look forward into the 2023 budget. Some municipalities will basically take a mill or 2 mills or whatever it is, and they will basically say, we're taxing you that, you're getting an increase in taxes, but that portion of taxes is going into reserves for future infrastructure. So we are right now through our utility rates, putting $100,000 away on the water and sewer side on an annual basis. But again, we know a block is 600,000-700,000. So, you know, I certainly agree with Mr. Mayor in a proper fiscal manner. You want to start putting some more money aside for infrastructure. Again, that's where it becomes political, and you guys are dealing with your residents and your taxpayers, and you have to be able to justify why you're asking for a potential increase in taxes and what it's going for. My experience here in the community is whenever we've done an infrastructure project, you know, whether it's a road, whether it's a water, sewer, etc., there's never any questions asked or raised. So like I said, we're putting 100,000 away on the water sewer side. If we can start doing something on the streets and roads side, we are starting to put money away on the recreation facility side. So it's finding that balance between what you're taxing the residents, what you're putting in the bank account, and trying to find that fine balance, keep the residents happy. But it's nice to not have surprises, as the mayor's indicated to, where you all of a sudden have to come up with, you know, a significant amount of money. So I think we look forward to that in the 23 budget, and move forward from there.
I agree with what you're saying. However, I would like to see, given the increase in the carbon taxes and the increase in the fuel taxes and all these other increases, and coming out of COVID, I would like to see one more year under our residents' belt before proceeding with any additional. If there is a bit of an issue, could we not also then take some of the funds out of the recreational to put towards infrastructure, should that be a situation where we find ourselves?
We could borrow if we had to.
That's right. Yeah. Oh, you can, there are other options out there. You can borrow money.
No, but even.
But I just want to clarify. So the rec contribution, we started in 2021, putting 90,000 away. When we approved this budget to do the condenser, we basically used the majority of that money over the last 2 years to replace the condenser at the arena. So we can't draw from the rec reserve.
So there's nothing in there now.
There's nothing in there now with the condenser.
So, but are you going to, is that being allocated this year, the 90,000 and
That's
putting
going,
into the rec?
no, it's
for this
going
year?
towards, as you are aware through the budget process, we ordered the condenser at the arena for 150,000. So we took
Okay, so-
90,000 of that from last year, and we're taking 60,000 of that from the 90 we would get this year. So
Yeah.
there would be $30,000 in that account at the end of 22.
So regardless, there is alternatives that we could be addressing.
There is, I mean,
And
just,
whether or not it happens
Yeah.
or not, I would, I guess, feel.
yeah, I'm
more
not
comfortable.
trying to.
Oh, no, but
yeah.
I'm just putting
Yeah.
it out there. I'd feel more comfortable addressing it if we have to down the way than increasing for this year. Maybe that's something we can look at.
We're
more
not
next year.
talking about increasing for this year.
No, I
Councillor.
know that, but
Okay.
just as far as, the argument's sake.
Anything else? Anyone else?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I think first and foremost, there's a study that we need to review before we make any decisions on future infrastructure, the facility study. I think we need to have that before us and we need to take a deep look at that. That was done how many years ago?
Well, sorry, there's two, that would be the infrastructure study.
Or the infrastructure.
It was done in
study.
2014.
Right. And I
We're
think
getting it revamped, redone in 2022. So it will provide some information to you in terms of upcoming, and that it will scare you.
Yeah, I understand that,
It
but I
will
think
scare
we
you.
need to see that first and
Yeah.
foremost. I think too, my personal opinion is that rather than increasing taxes, I'm not saying that we never have to increase taxes. But in the coming days, I know this time we're making some changes not to do it, but we have to look at other ways to cut. And I think in our next, fiscal budgeting, we're gonna have to look at different ways to cut to bring those dollars back to the table. And to me, it's not always about increasing the taxes on our citizens. It's about looking at other things within, our mandates and within our, capacity to reduce. And so that's just, but that infrastructure study, I think it would be remiss for us not to take a look at that and see exactly what's in that and what really needs to be done and the costs that it's going to take to begin to do some of that structural change.
Councilor Cole?
So when's that study?
We'll have it before the fall. So like I said, we don't have any capital infrastructure projects in the 22 budget. So it'll be before we start budget discussions for 23,
So our MSI dollars for this year are still in reserve. They're not dedicated to a project yet.
Correct.
Yeah.
The assessment of the infrastructure, does that include under the ground?
It is well,
Because that's my worry, is under the ground more
it's,
than above the ground.
the underground is very difficult to assess.
Yeah.
You can assess sewer lines easier because you can run a camera down, but water lines are much harder to assess the condition of. We'll know the age of the pipe, we'll know potentially know the materials of the pipe, but to find out the condition is, as the mayor has alluded to, when you do see breaks, that kind of starts to lead you to the condition more than anything.
Anything else? Councilor Olson, you look just,
I was confused how this got into a budget 2023 discussion.
Yeah. I guess I did. Okay. Come back. Recommend motion council give the first reading for the 10/24/22 tax rate bylaw. Motion. Councilor Bowden, all in favor? Carried. Next motion, council give the second reading to bylaw 10/24/2022. The 2022 tax rate bylaw motion, Council Campion, all in favor? Council give unanimous consent for the third reading of the 10/24/2022 and the 2022 2022 tax rate bylaw for this meeting. Motion, Council Campion. All in favor? And third and final reading for the bylaw of 10/24/2022 tax rate bylaw. Council Warwick, all in favor? Passed.
So we normally will send the taxes out probably early June. I'm looking at Winona. So the tax notices will go out then. Residents and property owners will have till the end of August to pay their 22 taxes. At that point, as of September 1st, there will be a 4% penalty. Anything outstanding, again, as of October 1st will be a 4% penalty, and anything still outstanding is a 5% penalty on January 1. So as the auditor referred to the last meeting, our outstanding taxes is in a pretty good shape right now. So that's a good sign. So, and we're getting more and more people signing up every day on the monthly payments.
Okay, council reports, starting with Councilor Kroll.
I got nothing to add.
Okay. Councilor Bowden,
I don't have anything else to add.
Councilor Warwick,
Yes, just a couple things. I had the opportunity to have a first in-person meeting with Meridian Futures, which was held in Kindersley. This is virtually a banking institution. It's taken me a while to kind of figure out exactly what all their mandates are and how they function. We are considered zone 1. They did give me a couple pieces of documentation. I haven't copied them because they're all in cover, but these documentations I'm free to share if anybody's interested. It's virtually explaining the money that they've in each of the zones, there's 9 different zones, and the money that we in our zone that we've loaned out since inception, which I understand is 33 years ago. When the small little, is that correct?
Could
Like,
be.
yeah, it seems like a long time, but anyhow, they have a bunch of different things, their number of loans from inception, the jobs created, the losses and a bunch of different little things on here. It's kind of interesting. I feel like one of the advocacy pieces we're doing more and more is letting people know that this Meridian Futures is available for people that are looking for business loans and people that maybe are struggling with other financial institutions. These guys are very good and very proactive of making it happen so that these businesses can get these loans. So if there is anybody that's really looking for a loan and is struggling in other areas, this is a great institution to work with, and the people behind the scenes are just awesome. They'll do anything to kind of put those numbers together. One thing that did come up at this last meeting that they really wanted us to put out there was they have a youth entrepreneurship camp that is happening on August 7th to 13th. It's for youth 13 to 15 Nest Ranch, and they will sponsor any child in that age group that wants to go free to them. So if there is anybody that you know would be interested, the one thing they are teaching at this camp this time is how to learn to set up and operate your own business. So they have some really interesting things going on at this camp, and I guess it's well attended, and we understand they're not turning any children away. The more they get, the better it is.
Are you able to share those electronically for us?
I can't, I don't have this zone report. I don't have it in electronic measure.
Okay.
I might be able to get zone 1. I talked to one of the ladies there that she said she probably could give me the zone 1 report, but as far as the rest of them, yeah, I could scan it in, I guess.
you
if you
scan it
want.
PDF.
Yeah, I could do that if you want them. Yeah. We did the Harvest Guy Business Hub. We did have our second Ag Center meeting on May 3rd. We didn't have quite the turnout that we had at our first meeting. Probably half as many people turned out at that meeting.
It wasn't
20.
the first meeting, but there wasn't many there the other night, maybe 15, 12.
Yeah, not very many. there was lots of discussion. Mark kind of headed up with some key questioning that he brought forward, which I kind of directed some of the questions and discussion around going on a move forward basis with the possibility of having this ag center in Hanna. We are having our next meeting is going to be on Tuesday, May 24th. If anybody is interested in being part of that at JC Sherritt School. So if anybody wants to have some input or updates on it, I would kind of encourage anybody that wants to come to that. They're still looking for a champion. They did have someone that said they might be interested, but we think it's probably going to take more than one person to lead up this whole process.
What
So,
time is that meeting for us?
Seven.
at 7 o'clock,
And what date?
May
24th.
24th
May
at the
24th.
JC Sherritt Theater. So.
See, Mark had, my understanding, at the initial meeting, Mark had interest from a number of people to further the process, and he took all of their email contacts and did send out an invite. So if you were at the first one and didn't get your name on that email list, you wouldn't have been aware of the last meeting. But if you missed either one of those and want to be, certainly let Mark know and he'll add you to that list.
The only other question I have, I am going to be participating in the Wake Japan meeting on June 3rd and 4th. And I guess some of the conversations we're going to be having at these meetings is the connection with each of our communities. And I guess with Hanna, I guess what I would like to take from this council here, if there's an interest on continuing with this program. With COVID, everything has come to a standstill, and there really hasn't been anything in the last couple of years. But one of the questions that was asked is, you know what, maybe have a conversation with your councils and those around you about the continuation of this.
So there's two things, Councillor Warwick. So the meeting that you're going to and the AGM that you're going to, they will be discussing whether they will continue as an association.
Oh, okay.
So that group of 17 municipalities who have a twin relationship in Japan that have made this association, they're really struggling to keep interest and to keep membership and all of that. So that'll be the discussion. But they're two separate things. So at the end of the day, the association will choose to do what the association does. If the town of Hanna still wishes to continue to have a twinning relationship with Wake, it really has nothing to do with the association.
Oh, I see. So that's a whole separate entity.
They're
Okay, I didn't
they're two
understand.
separate. It's whether they continue as an association or not. And I don't want to disrespect the association, but I don't think it will change anything from the town of Hanna's perspective, whether there is an association or there isn't an association. And as we move forward through the budget process again for 2023, that'll be a decision of council whether they wish to still have that student exchange program and to allocate funds towards that. So.
Okay. Well, thank you for that clarity, because I know one question with some of the feedback was that question, to bring back the input from your councils, whether you are still interested in, being a part of this process. So
I sat on that board last term, I guess, and I didn't really know what they contributed to, like what the purpose of the association was. And I know that it was really hard to find any students interested in going. But having said that, ones that did go were thrilled. They had an amazing experience and that sort of thing. So, it's always hard to find, I think, people that are willing to participate, and then also to have host families. I believe that family did take hosted, but we tend to have more of the exchanges coming this way, and then finding host families that want to entertain them and want to travel them around at their own expense for the time that they are here.
So just back to the association. So you'll hear probably some of this history. The association has been in place for many years. And I know many years ago when I was in Stony Plain, they're a member of the association. They used to get funding from the province on an annual basis. The association did through one of their international programs and used to have a much bigger role. So that gave them some money to operate and to do some things and do some provincial promotion of the exchanges. The province has taken that money away. So they really don't have much money to operate on. I think that's one of their challenges is they did stockpile some of that money and it's been used up. And now if they're going to rely on $100 membership contribution from 17 municipalities, that's all they've got to move forward. And I don't know if there'll be an appetite for many of the municipalities to put in $1,000 a year or $500 a year towards the program. So it's one that I think is losing its zing, and one that's losing the need for as we move forward. But it does not. One does not preclude the other. If the association decides to dissolve, still does not affect our relationship with WACA, and that'll be a decision of council whether they want to continue the program or not.
Okay, so that's two separate entities
Yeah,
then?
yeah.
Okay. That concludes my report.
Councils.
Mine will be a bit shorter. I don't have anything else to add.
Council Murphy.
The only thing I'd like to add to my report is, of course, the Marigold Library Services Annual General Meeting. They gave me the Schedule C, which I know you have a copy of. They gave me a video and a whole bunch of, and everybody supports Marigold here. I don't know of why a council wouldn't. They're such a great service to our library board, and I'm certainly very encouraging, but you have all that, Mr.
I have all that information there,
Beautiful.
yes.
Yes.
Council Campion.
Nothing further to add in my report, however, usually, Mr. Mayor, we get a chance to question each one of the councillors on their report. I would like to ask Councillor Bodine, what this real property rights forum, Ladies Hospital Auxiliary, and rummage sale are not council appointments. Why are they included in the report?
I guess it was just for interest sake that I had attended that.
I was going to mention I rescued an owl.
Yeah, well, okay, I can put lots of things in.
Really rescue it.
I tried.
Tried.
No, I just information. It's a thing she's been partaking in it, and that's.
Yeah, that I thought was interested
it's
to the board or
Yeah.
to the council.
I do apologize. I did not get a report in. It's been fairly busy with work, and I really as far as my Merrill, it's been interesting. The rescue of the owl, the picking up again. I'm learning as we go. Apparently, we do not operate the Catholic cemetery, so just a feather in the cap or whatever you want to do. I have no problem doing that kind of stuff. We've had lots of comments as to what we're doing. Actively involved with the GFL thing. Being that I am in the position I'm in, partially as the mayor, partially as the kind of entrance for all materials that come into town. GFL is the building is going up as we speak. They have ordered the ordnance suppressant, and yeah, it's been challenging. Social media, I'm pretty good. I stay away from it until my counsel or myself gets called into question, and I will defend you till I'm blue in the face. Trying to back off a little bit, but I don't take well to us being called out for stuff that is incorrect. So
Thank you. Much
I
appreciated.
will continue to do that. I just maybe tone it down a little bit. I do apologize if anybody overstepped, but I was fairly trying to be as professional as we could be, so. And that's it for me. Any other questions? Hearing none, motion to accept the council reports as presented. Council Olson, all in favor? Carried. Correspondence. Is there anything of significant interest?
12.3. Are we going to continue the communities in bloom thing in our community?
No, we haven't, since I think the last year might have been 2019 or 2000 was, might have been 2019 was the last year we participated.
Yeah, and if we did, we'd have to get a new leader. Was Gwen not the leader of it? Or-
Well, she was a member on the committee,
Oh, okay.
and she was the kind of the staff liaison between, you know, the staff and the committee, but we haven't, and I've said to people many times, Communities in Bloom is a good program. It does cost the town some financial resources to be a part of Communities in Bloom, primarily in joining the program, the evaluation process, and if anyone's attending any training. But it doesn't change the way we do business. Because we weren't in Communities in Bloom the last 2 years doesn't mean we put less flowers out or took less care of our programs. So the thing that I do miss that Communities in Bloom did was the weekly recognition. I missed that part when people would get recognized for doing work in their yard. It was fairly inexpensive. And we did both commercial and residential. One of the volunteers on the committee would pick out these places. I do miss that, and I do miss the report on our community because for the most part it's a non-biased opinion from people who view our community with different eyes and different programs that were going on. But I think the other challenge you find with Communities in Bloom and with that group is they had been members for many, many years. And probably as you've been members for many, many years, you get tired of being a member and choose to want to do other things with your time. So we've operated without the committee the last 2 years, and I don't think there's been a noticeable difference.
I was gonna say the Ag Society last year recognized, I believe it's Ag, because
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
yeah, recognized some yards that had been well.
They do you'll see the plaques on the wall as you go out. I think they recognize 3 different categories every year. But that's a little bit different program than we did before. It was a weekly,
Yeah,
you got
no.
a sign to put in front of your lawn and you got some recognition. But other than that, we continue to move forward, but there's no budgetary commitment made in the 22 budget for Communities in Bloom.
And can I just add?
Yeah, go ahead, Councilwoman.
I think some of the information that was gathered through the judging and that sort of thing, I think was incredibly valuable. And I think that information is still available if anybody is interested in that, and maybe should be shared more, like with 818 and all that, as far as, you know, maybe it has some impact or some suggestions and things, but the information I thought was, and it didn't just have to deal with flowers, it dealt with a bunch of other things as far as community involvement and things of that nature.
Okay, can we get a motion?
Mr. Mayor.
Sorry,
I'm just some information. I've got the memo book to take a group of ladies from Hanna down towards Cessford, and on the way down, we're stopping to visit different gardens and stuff. So I don't know, it must be a group that's kind of got something going, you know, already on the side sort of thing, so.
Yeah.
There's 12 ladies on them too. So-
Yeah, I know the seniors in Elk Point, because my mom was one, they do a greenhouse tour, and I don't know who organizes it, whether it's the seniors do it, or but they do a greenhouse tour, they go up to Edmonton and visit, there's 3 or 4 big greenhouses there, similar to what would be right here in Calgary. But they actually get a bus, not to cut you out, Brad, but there's 50 of them, get on a bus and off they go, and
A wild bunch. I tell you.
well, yeah, so. Okay, so we get a motion to accept the correspondence items 12.01 to 12.10.
Yes.
Councilor Campion, all in favor? Carrie? Mr. Moore, thank you for coming.
Hey, you guys, you'd think it was election year getting rid of that post, because you were just all.
Gary, I want to chat with you for just a minute.
Oh, you're in
Before
trouble.
But I want your motion.
Post it in front of him.
Okay, motion to go to camera. Councilor Campion.